So what was the way that the Israelites went from Egypt to the wilderness of Sinai? God told the Israelites not to go by the way of the Philistines, this northern way across Egypt. But God said for them to go by the way of the wilderness to the Red Sea, a route that was known as a trade route from Egypt to Tama during the reign of Pharaoh Ramses III. This hieroglyphic inscription in Tama has Pharaoh Ramses III's name on it. So this route is 1,500 years before this route was known as the Way of the Hajj. Now if we look at what God said, they were to go by the way of the wilderness toward the Red Sea. Could this reddish area be the very way of the wilderness? One of the first stops the Israelites arrived at is Etham on the edge of the wilderness. So let us look at the elevation profile of Ramses III's road in Google Earth. This shows the elevation highs and lows of this road. Look at this drop right here. Could this be the edge of the wilderness? But instead of the Israelites dropping into Etham, we know God had them turn around at this point. We also know from Exodus 13:21 they could travel by day or by night. As they moved on, they ended up at the Red Sea where the wilderness had shut them in. This area of Nuweiba Beach fits that description 100%. If you look at the mountains in this area and also the road coming in, you can see why Pharaoh says the wilderness has shut them in. So they crossed the Red Sea. The Bible says this happened at night for a good reason. They really could not see well what was happening. They had a 16-kilometer walk going down to the bottom of the sea. The Red Sea is 800 meters deep at this point. Here the Bible describes this crossing, and it says it is deep. The night hid what was ahead. Pharaoh's army was behind. Even God's pillar of fire moved behind them, not leading the way. By the time of Exodus 14:27, we know that the sea had returned to normal as morning appeared. From here, there was a 3-day journey to Marshah, then on to Elim, where there was 12 springs and 70 palm trees, a place that looks just like this location in Saudi Arabia. So the Exodus account and the Numbers account are a little different at this point. Numbers adds a camp. But let's look at Exodus 16:1. They set out from Elim, and all the congregation of the people of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after they had departed from the land of Egypt. There is a small geographic check in this verse. It says that the wilderness of Sin, in green, is between Elim and Sinai. That fits perfectly. The wilderness of Sin is between the two. And if you drew a line due east from Elim, you would hit the campground of Sinai. The Bible also emphasizes all the congregation. The word all and whole congregation are used to describe this camp in the wilderness of Sin. Did some of the congregation go a different way? Did some of the stronger go to the Red Sea, like Numbers 33 talks about, while the older and the weaker went a shorter way? Was the congregation spread out over many kilometers? But in the wilderness, they all came together. So they moved on. They came to Rephidim, where there was no water, and God told Moses to split the rock of Horeb. It sounds as if there was one particular rock. Could this rock be that? A rock that stands out? There's another geographical check given in Exodus 18:5. As Jethro brought Moses' family to him at Rephidim, the Bible says they were camped at the mountain of God. So, at this split rock, are they close to the mountain of God here? Yes, they are. They are at the western base of the mountain of God, 16 kilometers away from Jebel Mekla. One more thing before leaving the split rock. The rock is 100% due south from the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. There is nothing in the Bible that says this has to be true. This is just another interesting geographical truth. From the split rock, the next stop is the wilderness of Sinai. They could not go over the mountain because it was way too steep, so they went around. By going up this last little final rise, they enter into a new wilderness, the wilderness of Sinai, and camped here for almost a year. I hope you enjoy this short time lapse from the very top of this small rise.